There's a new ETF paying 14.4% that crossed a $1 billion in assets in less than a year. I've been seeing about it and hearing about it everywhere. So in today's video, I want to cover it because I looked at how it actually generates the yield, and it's not in the marketing materials. It's in the SEC filings and the Morningstar analyst, and found it's a little bit more complicated and a little bit more concerning than it is with the QQQI. 2 weeks ago, I told you exactly why I rejected QQQI despite having a 14% yield, and this has an even higher yield. Today, I want to apply that same framework to CAIE, the CAIE, the Calamos Auto-Callable Income ETF, and the answer is the same, but the reason is very different, and the risk on this one is much bigger, so let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the CAIE, or the CAIE, launched on June 25th of 2025, just over a year ago. By June 16th of 26, it had crossed the $1 billion mark in asset management. That is an exceptional growth and really a landmark for any ETF. It won awards from the Structured Product Intelligence and With Intelligence in 2026. Had to look that one up and figure exactly what it is. Calamos is marketing as the first ETF to deliver institutional auto-callable strategies to retail investors. It is yielding a 14.4% annualized return. On the surface, it looks very compelling. But what actually is in this ETF? Now, the CAIE invests 80% of the assets in US Treasuries, cash, and most importantly, unfunded total return swaps. Those swaps are exposure to something called the Mirbeque US Large Cap Volatility Advantage Auto-Callable Index. That's right, guys. They are splitting this thing so many different ways and so many different products. That index tracks the theoretical performance of a laddered portfolio of 52 synthetic auto-callable yield notes that expire over a 5-year term. That is a lot, and again, a lot to understand. Generates that 14.4% yield, and CAIE is not buying stocks and selling covered calls like we see with the QQQI. It is using derivative instruments, specifically looking at total swaps with JP Morgan as the primary counterpart in this one, to replicate the income from a portfolio of structured notes that themselves has a lot of volatility. That is 3 layers of complexity, and that is where the yield is produced from. Let me explain it. So exactly what it is with the auto-callable yield, because a lot of people don't know, but this is where the risk actually does live with an ETF. It is structured note that is issued to a bank. It is a fixed coupon. In the CAIE's case, approximately 14.4% annualized, as long as the underlying index stays above a predetermined barrier. If the index stays above the observation date, you get the coupon, you get the principal return, you're getting that 14.4%. If the index falls below that barrier on the observation date, the note does not pay out and your principal is now suddenly at risk. The Morningstar analyst of CAIE is direct. Coupons are not paid continuously, and they are not paid on consistent levels, and not all principal is guaranteed to be paid back ever. That is a risk I am not willing to take in my money. So 2 weeks ago, guys, I rejected the QQQI for the really accumulation investors. There's no reason when we look at the QQQI, using covered calls to generate income, especially if you're in a place where you don't need income, will cap the upside. You're kind of giving away that upside in the market. When we have a market that is rising, you are giving those returns away. The total return market comparison, when we look at the QQQM, it beats that QQQI by about 3.5 percentage points over the last year, with distributions included in both numbers. So it is, in fact, a total return on these ETFs. Made in really looking at the math, it makes sense. If you're in the accumulation phase, you don't need income to invest in the QQQM. Now, CAIE is different in 3 specific ways, which I want to cover because this is where it gets very concerning, and I have to make sure that I get this right, guys. Difference number 1, the mechanism is structurally a lot more complex. When you look at the QQQI, it is covered calls. That is pretty straightforward. It owns the NASDAQ 100, sells calls against the NASDAQ 100. You can look at every holding. You can understand exactly what it holds. When it comes to the CAIE, it does not directly hold any stocks. It holds US Treasuries and total return swaps. The swap references that synthetic index that we talked about of auto-callable notes. So again, you're kind of leveraging and you're almost kind of playing around with the system, that can be super volatile. Now, these notes are linked to highly volatile managed versions of the S&P 500. Between you and the income stream, there are 3 layers in the entirety of derivatives. There are the swaps, the index, and the notes that are held themselves. Most regular investors who are buying the K for the 14.4% yield cannot describe the mechanism, what generates it, or where the money is actually coming from. When you can't explain how the product and how the yield is coming, you cannot really make a fair assessment when it comes to the risk. And even looking at a couple articles, they were very hard pressed to explain exactly how this works. Now, difference number 2, the downside of the category is more severe. QQQI, worst case scenario for the accumulation, the market rises strongly. Covered calls cap your upside, you miss all of those gains. Your principal, the actual NASDAQ fund you hold, still tracks the market. It will still be in the market. When you look at K's worst case scenario, it's kind of different. Not just agree if the underlying asset falls below that barrier level on an observation date, the auto-callable notes do not pay out at all. If the market takes a dip or if it falls severely enough, the notes fall to the returning principal. Morningstar is where I found this information is explicit. Not all principal is guaranteed to be payback in the entirety, meaning you can lose money and you can lose quite a bit of money. QQQI can underperform in a rising market. K can lose your principal in a falling one and lose it. It will and it can and it has. That is categorized really as a different risk profile, no matter degree, no matter really the type. Then we look at the last one, which is the explicit counterparty risk. Now, K income deliverable depends on JP Morgan performing as part of that counterparty swap. JP Morgan is one of the most systematically important financial institutions in the world, one of the absolute largest, and the probability of JP Morgan defaulting on any given year is extremely low for a financial institution, but the risk is always there where the risk is not there with that QQQI, because when you own the QQQI, you actually own the NASDAQ 100 stocks and the options. If Invesco, if the company ceases to exist, the underlying assets that you hold will still be there. With K, if the swap counterparty fails or the derivative structure breaks, the income generation mechanic fails, and with no reason to assume JP Morgan is not going to fall next week, we don't think it is, there's a reason to understand when you're adding layers of institutional credit risk on top of what you're already doing, it can be completely absent in looking at, not really feeling like a structured or any structure when it comes to an ETF. So where would it make sense? I want to be fair when we look at the K because the product is not a scam. It is a genuinely financial engineered product, really delivering institutional grade income to retail investors. In certain conditions, it will do exactly what it promises. When we start looking at the CAIE, performs best in a flat or modest positive market. If the underlying asset falls below that barrier, that 14.4% coupon is paid and the principal is returned. In a sideways or slow rising market, it is going to have a genuinely attractive income really stream that has principal protection for retirees that need money. And it seems like that's where all of these ETFs are coming in the entirety, has a shorter horizon time or don't need to participate in any part of the strong bull market, is sophisticated to understand the counter risk point of this. Small allocation to this for 3 to 5% of a portfolio is the most that even the highest analysts recommend if you're looking, and if your conditional buy is defendable in the portfolio. It is not a growth instrument by any means. It is not an accumulation. It is an income instrument for a very specific investor. Now, the problem with this is not the product. The problem is the audience. Investors buying the K for the 14.4% yield is 30, 40-year-olds. It's really people that are during the accumulation phase, where if you're replacing the QQQM or the VOO positions, looking at that yield generation in something like this, it is not going to have the growth that you need to build that portfolio. These investors are using the right product really in the wrong phase of life. The same framework from the QQQI video really applies here. Right product, wrong phase where people are buying it. But when you look at K, the wrong phase cost is higher because the downside is the principal risk that could be really put up, not just missing that upside. Now, of course, when we start looking at the expense ratio as well, you are charged a 0.69 per year in expense ratio, 4 times that we see of the QQQM. You're paying 0.5 for essentially the complexity that we see in the structured ETF that delivers income in a flat market, carries a principal risk. In a falling one, we don't know exactly what it's going to look like because it's only been around for a year. So instead of that, guys, what do I own? I own a little bit of the SCHD, about 5%. That is a Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF. yielding 3.4%, nowhere even near that 14.4, but is actually owning dividend paying stocks instead of just having the derivative on structured notes that we're seeing in this portfolio. The dividends arrive because real companies are sharing profits. It's not a barrier. It's not an auto call. It's not a swap. Counterparty, if the market falls 30%, SCHD is going to fall with it, but the dividends will continue from those underlying business. And through every single market cycle, every pullback we've seen, the SCHD is the behavioral anchor in a portfolio where it continues to really pay. So here's the verdict, guys. When we look at the K, it's a real product doing a genuine job for a very specific investor. Flat to moderate positive market conditions, income phase significant enough or really sophisticated enough to understand exactly what you're investing in. 3 to 5% of the portfolio at max allocation. For everyone else that's in their 20s, 30s, 40s, even in their 50s, this is the wrong product. This is not the phase of life that it is targeting. The complexity of the mechanism, the principal of risk really going below that barrier, the counterparty risk as well, makes it really not worth it. The expense ratio to boot, where again, if you're looking 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, QQQM, SCHD, VOO, it is risk that is not carried. And right now we're seeing a much higher yield than we're seeing than that 14.4%. So if you can't explain exactly how the income and how the yield is being generated, you cannot assess the risk to make it possible. If you're looking at some high risk products or high yield products, a lot of places are coming out with these. Like I said, you have to be very, very careful and understand exactly what they are and what you're getting into. So guys, drop a comment down below. Did you see anything about the K this week? And tell me, can you explain in one sentence exactly how this ETF is really generating 14.4% yield? Genuinely asking, this is how I understand, this is how I get information. Being able to present it to you, being able to read the comments, get the feedback on there, because I read every single response, whether it's right, whether it's wrong. I read them and I will reply to all of them. Now, of course, guys, if you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I'll be evaluating some new products as they come out. I'll catch you in the next video.